Welcome to 3820 Podcast. I'm Rich G. Today we talk with Javier Trujillo. He is a professional MMA fighter. And we sit down and we talk about his story and what he has going on. He took time out of his day to give us a call to do this interview. So some of the audio is a little sketch on some ends of it, but he is calling us from Bangkok. So let's get into it. See what you guys think.
Things that I observed. Yeah.
That because we're in that trade war with China,
Right.
they're kind of making it hard for like Americans and a lot of like Western countries if you're trying to stay here like longer term. So they just changed the immigration laws. So I was told that like I'm applying for a new visa, but a lot of my friends that are also doing it who are fighters, they all got turned down. So they kind of got stuck in like all these countries right now. So at least in England, I have a place to stay for free, and then I even have some work lined up. So
Oh, that's cool.
I might just go out there while I apply for this visa, and hopefully, if I don't get turned down, then I'll just come back here.
Yeah. So how you been, man?
I've been good, dude. I mean, just living the dream, really. You know, just
I hear you.
finally putting in enough work where like I can make a living off of what I like doing. You know.
That's great, dude. Yeah. So for all our listeners listening right now, Javier is a MMA fighter, professional MMA fighter, with a record of 5-1. I know you just came off of a big win this weekend, a big fight, and I'm pretty sure you've been uh, doing interviews and stuff like that for that this whole week and stuff like that. So I will get into that later. But what I
Uh-huh.
really want to do is I really want to talk to you about your whole, how can I say it? Not your origin story, but how'd you get from a boy from San Diego, you know what I mean? Born and raised in San Diego from Cali. How did you get to Bangkok, dude? You know what I mean? Like, what was the, you know what I mean? Because if you really sit down and think about it, like, that is amazing to go from here to there. You know what I'm saying? And to have the success you've had. Like, how do we get there?
Man, I mean, you know, like it just started out with me wanting to do this fight thing, and luckily, like martial arts, you know, has always kind of been there for me since I was about 16. I wanted to do this, you know,
Yeah.
and because of that, you know, it helped me get fired jobs. I also used to be a firefighter back home,
Right.
and you know, I think people would respect and admire fighters because you know it takes a lot of discipline and it takes a lot of effort and sacrifice on your part to kind of pursue something like this. And because of that, it allowed me to go and work at a bunch of different places all through California. And when I was in Chica, California, when I was living there, I had a fire job just north of Sacramento. Um, I was training at a gym called Standalone Mixed Martial Arts,
Uh-huh.
and basically one of the greatest fighters, and I consider him my mentor. Like this guy is by far the greatest martial artist I've ever met. Is this guy named Glenn Cordoza, and he's also a New York best time selling author. And like if you go into any of those like bookstores like Borders or whatever, and you look for the martial arts books,
Right.
he does all the writing and all the photography for him.
Wow.
So he's got to meet and train with all of the best martial artists in the MMA game. So when I was fortunate enough to meet this guy and train under him, I thought it was awesome because I've never met anybody with a fight IQ like him.
Yeah.
So in 2012, I was planning on actually going to Brazil after fire season. So yeah, I used to do wildland in the summertime.
Uh-huh.
So I would work about 6 months on and just save all my money, and I would use that to train in the winters, either here in the States, like I was training in San Diego for a while. I trained in Northern California, Nevada, Oregon. And in one of the off seasons, I wanted to travel to Brazil to go train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu because that's what I love. And I was going to go with my coach at the time, who was a Brazilian guy from Rio. And typical Brazilians, when they show up to America, they get their work visa, this and that. The guy disappears, opens up his new gym, and kind of had a falling out with our gym in Chico. So that kind of stalled it and ruined my plans. And my head coach said, "Hey, why don't you just go to Thailand, man? Glenn's over there right now, training." And I was like, oh, "Okay, cool, great." So I phoned Glenn, and we planned out my trip. And so after the fire season, I headed out here, and he had been coming for about 8 years previously, training Muay Thai and out here in Thailand, and just coming and training with him, man. And I met a few people like my buddy Paul, who's a really good English Muay Thai fighter. And I just fell in love with the country, man, from that point on. Just I got to travel around and train like all the major areas. So I went down to the islands down south and came up here where I'm currently living in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So it's up in the northeast. It's like right in the middle of the jungle. It's dope. I love it here.
Wow.
And then I ended my trip with staying in Bangkok, where I had a great time. I met a lot of cool people, and I definitely wanted to start coming back. So after that, every fire season, I would start coming back to Thailand every year to just come train. And I think it was about 2014 when I came back. I was training at a gym in Bangkok called Fighting Spirit, and I was teaching their MMA and Jiu-Jitsu program at the time there. And the organization that I fight for, called Full Metal Dojo, they just started doing all these fights, and they were looking for fighters. So the matchmaker came into the gym. He was asking if anybody be interested in an MMA fight. And most of the Thai guys, the Muay Thai trainers, and especially at the time, it wasn't very popular. They always thought it was super weird that like you want to go roll on the ground with a guy. They thought it was odd. So none of them were interested. And then they said, "Hey, why don't you ask Javi, man? He fights MMA." So I go and I talk to this guy, Ree, and I was like, "So yeah, what is it?" It's like, "Oh, it's pro MMA fights, man, but the rule set is a little bit different than probably what you're used to in the States." And I was like, "Well, all right, what's the rule set?" And he's like, "Well, it's universal rules." And I was like, "That means that you can soccer kick to the head, you can stomp to the body, but not the face. You can do 12 to 6 elbows, which is illegal. All these things are illegal in the UFC.
Wow.
And you can knee to the head of a ground opponent. You can be putting knees on a guy when you're in side control, and nobody really cares." And yeah, man, and that's by far like the closest thing you will ever get to a real fight without it being a real fight. So
Yeah.
I thought it was dope. So I like stuff like that. I'm a little bit of an adrenaline junkie. I like things like that, and
closer to a
I
pure
was
fight.
like, yeah, it's the closest thing to a pure fight, and it's great because you're doing it with another trained man. So it's like the biggest challenge I could ever thought of doing. And the cage is small because they've set it up in the middle of a nightclub downtown. So that means that the action is fast.
Yeah.
There's no real like movement and footwork and this and that. You got to press and you got to go hard.
There's no really turning your back and running from your opponent.
Yeah, exactly. There's no room, And I racked up my first win, and then after that, I came back home, went back, and they asked me if I would like to do another show, and then that's kind of where I think it kind of all started for me, at least like becoming somebody in Bangkok. Was I knocked this guy out in about less than 5 seconds, man, and the video went viral all over Asia, man. It was on every highlight reel, every share, and all of a sudden, I had a name, and after that, I just the gym that I was training with at the time, they just said, "Man, why don't you just stay and see what you can make of this? You got a lot of momentum behind you, and we'll give you a job teaching here part time to kind of pay your bills and do whatever." And I said, "Sure, man, why not?"
Yeah.
Hey,
Javi. So what's the sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but what's the
no worries.
What's the mindset that you're in to, you know what I mean? Because obviously, I mean, I've known you your whole life, and I know our family and how our family's situated. You know what I mean, and how we all try to keep in touch as much as possible. And what's the mindset of being in Bangkok, or Bangkok without? I mean, that has to be without your family, without knowing what's really what the future holds, and you're just there, you know what I mean, training. And I mean, that has to be really like you have to have some kind of a mindset to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you go in prepared to know that you were going to be gone for a certain amount of time? And you know what I mean? Like, how is the mindset when you're in there, doing this?
Yeah, like the mindset is at first it was scary as hell, man. I ain't gonna lie, dude. I mean, it's exciting it was one, you're like a tourist coming over here and you're doing it. Like I left a really promising career. I finally became a captain at 26 in the firefighting. One unheard of and a real accomplishment. And I had a good job with insurance and 401k.
Yeah.
Boss and my other friends said the same thing.
You're breaking up a little bit,
something
bro.
you've always wanted to do. Hello?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're clear now.
I don't know if it's probably just the Wi-Fi,
Okay, cool.
Wi-Fi or something.
Yeah. Sometimes the Wi-Fi here is a little bit sticky, but everybody just said that this is your dream. This is your opportunity. Why not take it? And so I did, man. And I mean, that's life. Yeah, it's kind of hard when you leave family, especially because we're like a Mexican family and a native family. Like family's close. So when you kind of leave all that behind and you're on your own here, it is a little scary at first, But I just kind of started looking at it that is like, you know what? If I'm gonna stay out here and I'm gonna be fighting in Asia, I'm gonna show what my people are about, dude. I'm gonna show people are gonna know who we are,
right.
And that's how I started looking at it. It's like I didn't want to be scared. I felt like I was representing who we are and where we come from and our mindset and our beliefs and that's what that's how I started looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, dude. I mean, I know, like seeing you from when you started, fighting or training, I should say, when you started training and how you were getting into it. And I was hearing like, from family members, like, oh, Javi's over here, Javi's training over here, he's training over there, and I was like, man, that's pretty good. And then when I seen your first fight, you know what I mean, it was like, I ain't even gonna lie, dog, it was hard for me. You know what I mean? to actually see you in there fighting. I'm not even gonna lie. Every time I see you fight, bro,
oh man,
I still to this day I'm still like, I'm all nervous and shit. I'm like, damn, man, I don't even know what to expect. I'm just like, man, please just let this go good. You know what I mean? But I mean, every fight you fought, you know what I mean. I see you getting better and I see you growing and growing and growing, and it's like it's a good thing because when we sit back and we look at our life, you know what I mean. It's like there's something you're doing right now that you're not going to, you know what I mean, like that no one can take away from you, that you're always going to have, you know what I'm saying? And to me, it's like, what does the future hold for you right now as far as like, what is the goal? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, obviously to pursue MMA, but are you pursuing more fights to get a better record, and then what's the end result? You know what I'm saying? Are you going to try to come back? Are you going to try to come back stateside, and then, or are you going to try to stay in Bangkok as long as you can, and then continue fighting with where you're fighting now, or are you going to try to come back, stateside?
I mean, the thing is, if I really want to get to the really big show, I have to come back home. Like, that's where the best training's at, especially San Diego. San Diego is the mecca of jiu-jitsu. I mean, I think that's why I got so good when I was going to school down there, being able to train at places like Dean Lister's gym and all this stuff with these world-renowned trainers. When I came over here, I think that's why my game was so elevated. I was like I'm a big fish in a small pond here, but when I go back home, I'm a nobody. But that level of high quality training, I think really steps it up. And I know if I really want to make it to the big show, at some point I do have to come back home to go to a better camp.
Yeah.
But like as of right now, like I really like fighting on the international scene. I don't know why. I ring with people here on in Bangkok in particular, Bangkok's and Thailand's a strange place because you got people from all over the world, man. Like India, China, freaking Japan, Korea, anywhere and everywhere, like places I never even heard of. I got buddies that are from Trinidad, and like wow. I'm like, I didn't even know where Trinidad was, and for some reason I ring with a lot of people internationally. So what I kind of like it, and that's kind of always been the dream of mine. I would love to fight for the UFC and say like, yeah, I did it, but man, all my favorite fighters, they all fought in Japan, man.
Yeah.
They always fought in Asia, and I just kind of want to follow in their footsteps and then do a similar path, and going to Europe right now. Maybe I'll try and take a fight there.
Yeah.
And see what's it. I really want to try this bare knuckle boxing thing, and it's really popular in England, so maybe I'll get a shot at doing that.
Holy shit.
That one's gonna be hard to watch. If it's hard to watch these ones, that would be even harder.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? I think it's safer.
You're not the only one I've heard say that.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, man. I think it's safer than MMA if you want me to be honest. Like, the fact that your hands aren't wrapped means that you can't throw any crazy punches.
Right.
The only thing that makes it more scary is that you're gonna bleed a little bit more. It's like, man, I've been out here training this is my 13th year training MMA, and then training Muay Thai out here in Thailand and this and that. Like, elbows are just bad, so. Yeah. Like, yeah, man, whatever, dude. What's life without a few scars, And yeah, it's just I want to try and do as many fights as I possibly can. It doesn't matter what, because I am an MMA fighter. So right. It's like, I'll take a bare knuckle fight, I'll take a Muay Thai fight, I'll take a jiu-jitsu match, a wrestling match. I'm even playing with the idea of doing this stuff called Lethwei. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
Oh, this is crazy. Lethwei is like the Burmese boxing. It's the Burmese style.
Yeah. Raymond was.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we heard it was the crazy fight. So what is it?
Yeah. So you guys can headbutt in Lethwei. So that's like the difference. Yeah, and it's bare knuckle. So it's a crazy fucking sport, but they're paying a lot of guys a lot of money to do it, of course.
So it's pretty much controlled street fights.
Controlled street fights, man. But that's why I got into MMA, because it's like I wanted to see what the realest thing is that you can do, and that's what I'm in pursuit of, It's just like, by the end of my career, hopefully I can start teaching. That's what I want to do, is once I decide the day I want to stop fighting, this is what my buddy Glenn told me. This is why I'm still training, because it's like, there's going to be one day in the future where I'm going to put on all my gear, I'm going to get ready to train, and about halfway through the session, I'm going to be like, you know what? I don't want to do this no more. I'm tired of getting hit. I'm tired of being injured all the time. I'm just tired, and then I'll stop, And when that day comes, I think I'll just kind of take over as being more like a mentor and a coach to all these younger guys that want to do the thing.
Yeah.
Do that same thing for them. And being out here, that's what I ended up doing to pay the bills, because, fights are few and far between sometimes. So I started coaching.
Yeah.
And I find a lot of joy in being an instructor, and seeing people develop and grow, and seeing them learn how to master themselves through a martial art, And every time I do see something like that, it kind of makes me reflect back on my own training from when I was younger. So it's like, kind of makes you feel like you get to relive life like more than once,
Hey Javi, like after seeing this last fight, I seen you did a little speech at the end of the match. How is what's the feeling of knowing that people from another country respect you and are, fans of yours and give you that kind of love? Because there was people in that place loving you, dude. Like, it was amazing to see, man. Like, what does that feel like, being able to go to a totally different country and be able to have these people, for you to make friends or to get accepted in their culture the way you have?
It's pretty mind blowing, man, to be honest with you, especially in Thailand, because the Thai people are very proud. They really don't like outside. They love us to come here for tourism, obviously, but they don't really like it when people decide to stay. But fortunately for me, I think I have what they call choke D, where you got like a fighting spirit, they call it. And the Thais love that more than anything. So I think for the fact that they always see that I was always trying to go in for the finish and always trying to finish the match, I put my heart and soul in every fight I do, win or lose, that I'm just trying to give my all. I'm going to try, either I'm going to win or I'm going to die in there, and they love that. They love that in Muay Thai. They love that in everything in life. And so when they see that, I think that's why I won over a lot of people. And just for the fact in Bangkok, like I said, like being a coach, I get a lot of these young Thai guys. I get a lot of young expats that come to me wanting to train. And sometimes I always thought that this is a very thankless job at some points, but I guess, you're investing in people, and people recognize that. And, I just always try to be a good guy, man. I always try and do the right thing and help as many people as I can out. And I think that's just kind of a reflection of what you see when all those people kind of come together for me. And it surprises me every time, like knowing like, holy shit, like all these people are here to see me fight.
You can tell you got to follow.
Yeah, exactly. And for me to be an outsider and for the Thai people who welcome me in like that, it's insane. I mean, like the craziest thing is like this last year, I got invited to go teach at the military academy, teaching their officers. Wow. So it's like, oh yeah. So I mean, I got people in the Thai military that love me. That's even more crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
So I heard that we see that they call you the honey badger, right? Where does that name come from?
That came from fighting in Chico, man. Like, you remember that YouTube video that was going around with like the gay dude like doing the commentary for that stuff? Yeah. That was like super popular, and my boys, when we would spar every Tuesday, and this is when I was garbage. Like I wasn't very good, but like it's striking, striking. I wasn't very good at the time. I was just like, I always liked to wrestle and I always liked to grapple. But there was just times where the guys knew I do that, so I couldn't get anywhere near them, and they just light me up on the feet. It was like, well, if I'm going to get punched, I might as well just swing for the freaking fences too, and try and get one to take one. And and then my coaches are all saying, "It's like, oh, dude, you fight like a Mexican, you're always coming forward." And then like just a couple of my sparring partners are like, "Yeah, man, you don't give a fuck, dude." And then slowly after that, one of the guys is like, "Oh man, he's like a honey badger." Like Javi don't give a fuck. So yeah, that's just how the name started coming. And I think when I came here, they asked me what my nickname was, and I mean that was always my nickname back in the States. So I was like, fuck it, just throw down Honey Badger, dude. And that's just kind of how it started, man.
That's cool, dude. That's a good story.
So how's
like shoot? You feel me? I'm gonna get hit either way. So I might as well, if I'm gonna do it, you're gonna take a lick too.
You can't get a free one.
Yeah.
So
gotta take one to get one.
So what's the biggest culture shock for you, being from Southern Cali, being out in Thailand? Like, what's the biggest culture shock to you that obviously you're, like you said, an outsider into that culture? Like, what's the biggest thing that had you just wow?
I mean, I would say like the biggest culture shock was just how laid back everybody is here. Like us being American, we're just so used to kind of doing this, doing that. Everybody's always trying to make a buck. Everybody's trying to do this. And it's like here they call it sabai sabai, which is just like it's like it's whatever, man. Just relax. Right. Nobody's in a rush here ever. Everything's done slow. Everything's always just and they don't ever really take anything too seriously. Like I think that was always the biggest like culture shock to me. It's like, yeah, it needs to get done, but whatever, man. Let's just hang out. Let's have a beer.
Like it'll get done eventually.
It'll get done eventually, exactly. And so it's like being American and then having like that fucking Chicano Mexican mentality that we grew up with. We're just like, bro, this shit should have been done yesterday. And these motherfuckers, these guys, they're just always like, well, who cares, man? Because they're all Buddhist too. So it's just like, well, whatever, dude. You're gonna die and come back as a butterfly anyways. Like, well,
dude,
it's all good, man. It's all good. Relax. Here, let's go talk to these girls. And you're like, oh, all right, man. So I think that's what like the biggest shock was to me. Is just just learning how to just chill. Just enjoy life a little bit more. And I think that was always the biggest culture shock for me.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you? Okay, so here's a different question. I know I see you're really active on your like your Instagram and your social media. Is that a good way for you to keep in contact with? Do you like interact with your fans and stuff on there? Is that like a big tool for you?
Yeah, I have to, man. Like, fortunately not. Like before, for the longest time, I didn't like it, and I just thought that my skill set alone is what's going to get you fights. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. I mean, man, you being like a producer and a musician and all this stuff, like the best dudes don't ever get recognized. It's just because this motherfucker it's usually the dickbag that probably doesn't have the best tracks or the best beats. It's just because he has the right look and knows the right people, and that's what gets you to the stage. And so, like, now that we're kind of in this social media type environment, it's how many followers you got, how much engagement you have, how many people are looking at your stuff and that's like commenting on it. And that's what the promoters want. So, yeah, I started being super active on it, and I kind of just figured out what started posting that stuff, and I started attracting the people that I cared about. So I don't mind like chit chatting with people online about whatever, So yeah, it's a real big and important part for a lot of fighters because whether we like it or not, this is part of the game. I mean, I enjoy it. It's fun. I just try not to waste too much time on it. That's all.
Yeah, and I had seen the other day you had tagged me on my Instagram about figuring out a song for you to walk out on, and
hell yeah,
and I was kind
of course, dude. You always have the best.
Right, I appreciate that. And I was thinking, like, I remember I have a track that you rapped on that maybe you might be able to walk out on.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. Or, man, you guys make a new beat for me, dude. You guys should make a new beat for me to come out.
Yeah, that's what we need to do, man. I'll work on that.
Yeah, why not, man? Just let everybody know where we're from.
Exactly. Yeah, that's good. That's a good thing. Yeah, I can do something like that. That's funny, though, when you had posted that and you had tagged me on that, I was instantly I went back to like old Javi. I was like, oh man, I remember me and Javi used to be in the studio for a minute. That was the good old days. Yeah.
Good old days, dude. Good old days.
Yeah. So another thing is I was wondering was I know that these fights, like you said, earlier, you said that the fights are far and few in between. So when like say right now, what you just came off of this fight, which we'll get into right now. So now that you went through this fight, is that like automatic where people are going to be like, okay, Javi is on our radar and already looking forward to get him another fight, or is that something that they already have people booked up for certain events, or is that something that's like, because like if you think about it in like the boxing industry, you know what I'm saying? It's like you win one, you know what I mean? The people who win get another match because they keep winning. Is that
move up in the rank?
Yeah, is that the same thing when it comes to what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it is and it isn't. It's like, well, I realized in this last year, it's like, oh, this is why they call it the fight game. Like when you decide to pick matches, I mean, there's some guys that they call it journeyman. They take any fight that they can. They don't care who it is. They don't do anything like that. And then you have other guys that do it. They try and find like a guy. Okay, I think I can beat this dude. He has this much of a following. He has this much of whatever. If I beat this guy, then I get all that, and now I can move on a bigger fish, So it depends on what everybody's goal is. Some guys like McGregor, they're all about money, so they'll just take the fights that make the most cash for them. Some guys, they fight because they just want to be the baddest motherfucker on the planet.
Yeah.
They want to fight the best dudes, you know. And some guys just like to fight, man. Like my buddy Will Choate. Man, I think he's on his. I think he's had over 150 fights altogether between Muay Thai, MMA, and kickboxing and Burma. Yeah, dude, he's fucking active. And he used to fight in the UFC. His last fight was against Max Holloway. Wow. And we're the same age.
Jeez.
But this motherfucker, he's going to Germany right now to take an MMA fight. And he just fought 3 weeks ago in China. You know, he don't give a fuck. He's ruthless, man. He just loves it, dude.
Yeah.
He just loves it. You know, he don't care what it is, who it is. He'll take it.
Yeah.
You know, but that's just one route. But after this fight, I signed with a management team. It's called Athletes for Athletes, and it's these two girls that used to they're from Australia. They retired from the lingerie football league in the U.S.
Right. I know that league.
Yeah, and exactly. And they're retired now, but basically they wanted to start helping out other athletes, like, you know, progress in their careers, and then actually help them to transition once they retire into doing something else, you know. So I like these girls a lot. I met them a few times as they come through Bangkok, and then they were there for the fight, so they said that they would love to work with me. So I signed with them. And I'm also just talking just as a general manager. And now I have also this guy, Mohammed Rezavan, who represents Mayweather MMA,
wow,
the MTK. And they're also interested in me fighting for them as well. So at least just for the fight aspect, they're interested in me and in signing me now. And I mean, the thing is that like my record kind of put me in a weird limbo state, because sometimes guys, like, I could go out there and put myself out to all these promotions, but then you have to also look on the other side. The guys that are wanting to take the fights are looking at my record. They're looking at who I am, what my following is, what my background, my fighting style. And a lot of guys in Asia don't want to fight me.
Right.
It's plain and simple, dude. They know it's a tough fight. It's like, okay, this guy can bang. This guy can wrestle.
Because you're scary to look at across that damn ring, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, I know it, you know, and I mean, some bigger organizations over here before this, I was just representing myself. I'm just going to these people straight up. And I got told by a very big, I don't want to mention the name because they're getting sue happy lately, but a very big organization here in Asia. They were interested in talking with me, and so I decided to talk to them, and then I was turned down for a few fights, and I had asked why. And they said, just simply because I don't fit their model, or I don't fit what they're looking for. Essentially saying that I'm not Asian.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm not Asian is why they didn't want to sign me. You know, and I mean, like, people talk a lot of shit about how bad racism is in America, but fucking racism is fucking bad in Asia too, man.
It's everywhere.
Yeah, no matter what.
So they just didn't want to stop. Yeah, so they weren't interested in me because, one, my jiu-jitsu and ground game is really, really good, and in Asia it's still very fairly new, jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and I just don't fit their model, man. You know, whatever. So after that, I was just like, it's fine. You know, I don't even want to fight for your guys' organization anyways, because I think I beat your best dude day in, day out. It don't matter.
Right.
So,
all right, so
right, man.
So let's talk about this last fight. So what was the? Okay, I'm just gonna be honest, dude. When that dude got you in a triangle,
yeah,
I was freaking the fuck out, and
you and everybody.
So we were here at the house. We had it on the living room TV. We were all screaming at the TV, like trying to send you every kind of like positive vibe to stay up.
Yeah, man, that was amazing,
yeah,
bro.
Man,
like for you to muscle through. Could you even breathe?
No, I couldn't. For a minute there, he had it pretty tight. But once I stood up on my feet, it kind of elevated a little bit of the pressure on my neck. Like, I don't know if you guys have been training a little jiu-jitsu or not, but when you get choked and you try and hold out, your vision starts to kind of tunnel. So, like, it gets really, really small. And so I could feel like, oh, shit, oh, crap, I'm going to go out. Luckily, I'd hurt my corner, and one of my friends who's also a fighter that was like just watching ringside, they were just telling me, you know, stand up, take an angle, do this, do that. So I did, And as everything kind of started getting a little bit like tunnely, and I was like, oh crap, I'm gonna go out. I just noticed, okay, I'm standing up, and where the angle was, and I just kind of started dropping knees on his head. And once I hit him with the first one, it connected pretty good, and he let loose. So it kind of opened up my vision a little bit more, and I had a little more space to breathe. And I did it like once or twice, I think, and then all of a sudden my footing gave out. Like I just like my left foot just kept slipping all over the place. And when I fell to my knees, he kind of pulled back down on my head, and the choke kind of got tight again. And once I did that, I just kind of I just had to fucking muster up the strength, man. Like I've been saying, I've been doing this for a long time, and I just got my brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like this is my expertise, and I don't know. There was a lot of shit talking between me and this guy's camp. The guy I fought their wrestling coach last time, and the build up between this, they're saying, "Oh, we're just gonna beat your ass just like we did last time." Blah blah this and that. And I was like, bro, if I didn't break that fucker's cuff, I would have whooped his ass too. That was the luckiest thing that he ever had happen to him wearing that bullshit Junior Pee Wee Pop Warner plastic shit. I wear a Thai steel cup, dude. There's a reason why the Thais make them out of steel. So shit like that don't happen,
right.
So there's just a lot of shit talking between me and this guy's camp. And I think honestly, and I think that's just because of the way we grew up, man. My mom, I remember my mom growing up, dude, whooping bitches' asses all the time because they'd be talking shit.
I remember your mom whooping bitches' asses.
Yeah, man. I knew shit was going down when she starts tying up her hair back and taking out her earrings. I'm like, oh shit, dude.
It's about to go down.
So like, yeah. About to go down, dude, and she didn't raise me to be no punk, dude. So for some reason, I was like, there's no way in hell. I'd rather die than let these fuckers talk so much shit. They're not getting 2 wins on me. So I just fucking found a little hole, man, where to breathe. Stood up, and then once we kind of squared up, and I laid over the top. And when you're perpendicular like that, the angle of the triangle is gone. So started kind of coming to, and just kind of wait until he would let go. Apparently, because I was kind of confused. I'm like, how the fuck is this guy holding on so long? Usually because he would squeeze and then he stopped, and then he would squeeze and then he stopped. So then I was just like, his legs got to be burnt out, man. Like, there's no how the fuck is he holding on? And somebody told me he was.
Yeah, you could actually see it when we were watching. You could see him grabbing the cage.
Yeah, so he was, he was holding on that way. And then once the bell rang, like I said, my I had tunnel vision still because my throat was still kind of like getting blocked. So when I stood up, it was like everything kind of came to, and I had a rush of blood in my head, and that's why I was kind of like all woozy when I stood up.
They cut away. We didn't see that.
And yeah. Well, that's why like when I ended up watching the fight the other day, and I could hear the commentator saying, he's like, oh, he doesn't look good. And so once I got sat down on the stool, my coach Lee and my teammate Jack, they're like, bro, like, okay, man, like, it's probably 1-1 right now. He got, I won the first round. He got the second round with that. You gotta set up your jab. You gotta throw kicks, and then just get a takedown. If you get one fucking takedown, the fight's yours. So. Once the bell rang up, dude, like I was out of it. Still.
I could tell.
I was still trying to come to. Yeah, just trying to breathe, just trying to get the blood flow back to my head, and just kept pressing forward. Like you said, man, that's where I get the name, the Honey Badger. It's like whatever, dude. I'm just gonna keep coming forward because at least on the judges' scorecards, I'm pushing for aggression. Yeah. Even though I'm not throwing anything, at least I'm pressing forward.
Yeah, your kicks were progressively getting harder and harder. That dude's leg was just buckling after every kick.
Because my brain, I was starting to recover. I mean, like cardio wise, dude, I got that Mexican cardio, dude. I could fight a 30-minute fight if I really had to, So I wasn't worried about it was just trying to get the blood back to my brain was what I was trying to focus on, and then I remember I landed like a couple kicks on him. And then one of my guys from my corner, Zidane Fakuma, my Muay Thai coach, he just yells out, bro, he's tired. He's tired too.
Yeah, that dude was gasping,
and I could see it on his. Yeah, again, I could see it on his face, and I was like, okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna just keep pressing forward. And then when he did hit me, he landed like a 1-2, kind of like the jab hit my glove, and then he hit me with the cross, but I didn't feel nothing. So then I just kind of shook it off and smiled, and I was like, he got no power. He got no power. So fuck it, dude. So I started coming forward and started throwing harder kicks as I started to get my wind back, and then I just heard my corners like, "Well, get a takedown, dude. You got about a minute to work." I went in, grabbed for the single, and got him in a side control. And at that point, I knew, okay, I fucking won.
Yeah,
this
that's
thing.
what I did. Right when I
active.
seen that shit, right when I seen you grab him, take him down, I'm like, that's it. It's done. Dunzo.
Did you end up cutting him? I saw that you cut him, but did you end up hitting him? I think it was an elbow, right?
Yeah, so once we got down in the side control, because and then this is why I got pissed off at the ref, because like right as I take him down, he's like, work, and I was like, bro, I just took this fucker down. Give me a minute to just like chill. Like, goddamn. So I was like, I was gonna be pissed if he just stood me up right after that shit. So I just started throwing a couple knees to the body, and just hearing some people just yelling, just drop elbows, drop elbows. I just started doing it, and then you can kind of feel when you cut somebody, and I felt one slide. And I was just like, oh, shit, okay, cool. And I cut him. And so I just kept dropping him. And once that bell rang, I just knew it was like, okay, just stand up right away and have your hands raised, dude, like you fucking won. And he just still sat there against the cage. So it's just like, all right, man, I know I got this. This is mine. And there's no way. There's no way I'm going to let him. There's no way I was going to let those guys beat me again.
Yeah, I seen, it's funny, me and my wife or me and Nicole were looking at some of the commentary, like on the Facebook. Like the people were on the live feed were saying shit. Yeah, the commentary. Well, people were talking shit, and somebody said that said something to the form of that you were smaller and that other guy was bigger, and some shit. And then I seen you wrote back, well, if that's the case, then the elephant would be the king of the jungle.
The king of the jungle.
I was like, these dudes are going back and forth. I'm like, people are just talking shit, dude. Like, what the hell, man? It was like, it's a trip when you really go in there and you look at like all the comments and shit that people put. It's people have no idea what the hell they're talking about, but they're just in there saying shit.
Yeah, man, and on top of that, like that's also kind of like the double-edged sword of this social media shit. Is that more than ever, if you're like a professional fighter right now, shit fucking sucks when you lose, bro. You get a flood of hate, man. Like when I lost, dude, I had so many Iranian motherfuckers talking mad shit, and it fucking pissed me off, man. I know you're not supposed to think about that shit, and I'm sure these guys can't do what the fuck they do, but it's like, if that man was in front of me insulting me, I know he wouldn't be saying that stuff, but it's just like, it's easy to talk shit when you're behind a keyboard.
Exactly.
But, like, I feel bad for the guys in like the UFC or any bigger organization because they just get a flood of hate. And people always posting photos of you, making memes of you. It's a hard time. You got to be mentally strong to kind of take that shit.
Do you look at the comments, or you try not to look at those comments during or after fights, or even before
this
fights?
This one I did, even before fights. Yeah, I mean, for this fight I did, and to be quite honest, I think it gave me more motivation, man. I think I do better when people talk shit, because it's just like, all right, man, I'll just prove you wrong, like I always prove people wrong. My whole life, everybody said, a lot of people told me I couldn't do this shit, or I shouldn't do this shit, that I wasn't good enough, or this or that. And honestly, that was more of a bigger motivating factor for me, so I kind of liked it, man. I think I do, when there is more and more pressure on me, I think I do a lot better.
Yeah.
The higher the pressure, the more I can make diamonds.
Right. That's true. Yeah. All right, Javi. You know what, man? I just want to say one thing to you, man. I want to say I am so fucking proud of you and where you've gotten. I've seen you grow up, and I couldn't be a prouder uncle to know that you're out there doing your thing and you love what you do. And you're kicking people's asses, and it still hurts me to see you in there fight, but I'm going to watch every freaking fight you have. But, dude, I fucking love you, and I just want to say keep doing your thing, and you know what's up. We're here for you. We're back stateside, rooting for you, and we love you, man, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I know what time is it, like 7 o'clock in the morning over there?
No, it's about to be 10 o'clock. We're all good. I have to get my ass up anyways. Because
yeah, man, I really appreciate you coming on, dude. I really do. And yeah, man, just keep pushing out there. And like I said, dude, we got your back out here. You know what I mean? We're holding it down for you. And yeah, man, I just would love to see where this is going to take you, bro. I really do.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys a lot, man. I mean, it's good. Like I said, like I think our family's values and our hard work ethic and everything like that shows, you know. And every time when I'm training or I'm having a hard session, it's like my grandpas and your moms and all the lessons that I took it from the family is when it really comes through, you know. So, you know, I just want to show the world where we're from.
Yeah.
You know, we're from Southeast San Diego, and this is who my people are, and this is how we fight,
exactly, man. Yeah, love you, dude.
I'm always proud to represent.
Yeah, hell yeah, keep doing it.
Love you guys
keep
too,
doing
man.
it. Love you, man. All right, brother. So, yeah, man, we just wanted to. So, what? Do you have anything you want to plug? Like, you want to plug your, you know, I'm gonna put all your links to like your Instagram and all that in the show notes. But do you want to shout anybody out? You want to shout out your team, your sponsors, or your?
Yeah, just a quick shout out to my teammates here at Team Quest Thailand, dude. If anybody's interested in pursuing this and wants to come out to Thailand, I highly recommend coming to Chiang Mai and training with Team Quest. Chiang Mai is probably by far my favorite place to live in Thailand, and the coaches and staff and the trainers are some of the best in the world, I feel. And I would just want to give a shout out to all my sponsors, Canna CBD, Bad Boy Brands for MMA, and Hempworks and the EDU that it's called, and then also just want to give another shout out just to the family, dude. You know, because you know there's a little bit of all of you guys in there with me, so you know I just want to say thank you y'all for everything y'all taught me.
Right on, Javi. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, thanks again, Javi.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Appreciate it, man. Hey, thanks for listening to the 3820 podcast. I'm Rich G.
J Kid.
Javier,
there you go. Right on, brother. Love you, man. I do.
I do.
Later.
Yeah. Love you too, yo.
Things that I observed, yeah.